Devin Booker had 40, but Boston, Jaylen Brown, and the refs blitzed the Suns in the fourth quarter for a 120-112 loss and a very big spot. We have a lot to get into on the other side of this. Psychos and sickos unite for a I really hate this music edition of the PHNX Suns post-game show. I'm Eric, that's Gil. We've got Espo, we got SPG, and we got the freckled mamba behind the Mac making all of the magic happen as the magic ran dry in Boston with a 120-112 loss to the Celtics for the Suns. The Suns lost. It's not our fault. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you to all of you who tuned in for our watch along. Ooh, man, we are going to try our best to have a nuanced conversation. I invite all of you in chat to have the same with us. We'll be talking about Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Haywood, Highsmith, rotations, and at the end of the day, a Suns loss, a brutal Suns loss, if we're being honest.
I'm not celebrating St. Patrick's Day tomorrow after watching the Celtics do what they did, watching what happened. Honestly, this was a 10 for me on the must win because of what it meant for your chances at the 6th seed, what it meant leading into tomorrow. That fourth quarter, yet again, unacceptable in the way that it went down. You were up 110, 108
yeah,
with about 4 minutes to go, and you blow it. You wind up just blowing it 120, 112 in that loss. A lot of unacceptable things this evening.
Deja vu all over again, right? Because that was that moment in that when you go up 3 points and then Jordan Goodwin missed a second of 2 free throws and you're up by 3. And I said, this is the spot where things kind of went downhill on Friday. And again, today it was the spot where things went downhill. Celtics closed the game on a 12-1 run. And you're starting to see these issues now. It's time. There's 14 games left in the season. You have to diagnose these issues and remedy these issues as the postseason rolls around.
Yeah, the offense needs to find its footing in the fourth quarters, and there is not – I don't think this loss is just kind of random, if you will. You look at templates for success defensively from Boston. You look at templates for success defensively from Toronto. You look at the terms in which they both kind of had comeback efforts to win against the Suns. Not saying that it's something that's unsolvable, but these reps matter, and it matters because these are two of the better defenses in the league, both top 7, but two teams with a certain type of defensive personnel. Very active, very physical, multiple guys that can switch and do multiple things on the court, even Nemish Keita being able to get up to the level of screens and switch and things like that. The Suns have some things to figure out on the offensive side in those particular clutch time moments against defenses that have that type of activity.
They have physical defenses. They got to figure
100%.
out how to handle having things get physical, and you can't let the refs get in your head.
Yeah.
You just can't.
I think more than anything, past just the ref part, which I'm sure we'll again spend a lot of time speaking about, for me, it's the tempo. If teams are playing physical, that means they're conceding something else to you. And it's a matter of how quickly do you get to those things. And it feels like the Suns' last 2 games have gotten go from the free-flowing nature of the first 3 quarters of both games to now all of a sudden when it slows down, it's that much harder for you to get to the stuff that you want to get to with the rhythm that you do.
Yeah, I think the big conversation that a lot of people are having after this game has to do with our dude of the night, presented by Gila River Resorts Casinos. You do you. At Gila River Resorts Casinos, visit playtgila.com for more details. Now, look, I know that the reaction to this is probably going to be split right down the middle, but Devin Booker did have 40 points in 37 minutes tonight, was 15-24 from the field, added 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and had a block. Now, the interesting part about Devin Booker's game, and I tweeted this, and it's now the second game in a row where Devin Booker has had an objectively good game. Objectively good, right? And then in the fourth quarter, it it feels like he gets completely thrown off. Now, part of that is he's seeing triple teams. In both games, he's getting fouled like crazy and there are no calls. But when you are the superstar and the Suns are in a position in back-to-back games on the road against two good teams and one of the best teams in the NBA tonight with the lead, Devin Booker has to close games better. It doesn't matter what you did before. If in the fourth quarter you can't step up and deliver this game to where it needs to be, which it should have been a win. A good game for Devin Booker, but not a good fourth quarter.
No, it was not a good fourth quarter. I think that, they got to stop expecting fouls to magically be called in games where they're not getting them. If you're not getting them through the first three quarters, you're not getting them in the final 5 minutes. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't swing like that and change magically for you. I blame Book on some things, but I also think the offense and the planning on offense could be a little bit better. Giving it to Book and then letting him try to struggle through triple teams is a difficult thing. And in a lot of cases, you can't blame a guy for necessarily having a turnover caused. Like there was the one where he was being double teamed. A third guy came up and poked the ball away. It didn't seem like anybody gave Book any warning. Like those kind of things, I don't blame Book for. But there were multiple things in this fourth that he could have cleaned up. He could have done better, but I also think the offense has to have counters when it gets physical. When you've got the defense looking at Book so much and focusing on him like that.
And that's what I'm thinking about, Espo. It's one of those things where two things can be true, right? This team is not in the game if Devin Booker doesn't have the game that he had. I think it was 23 consecutive points he scored by himself for this team.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not in this position to even have a chance to win this game if it's not for Devin Booker. But there's some decisions that should have and could have been better down the stretch of this game. This is the second straight game where we are saying this type of thing. But then you start to think, okay, that's the problem. Everybody saw that. Everybody can probably agree on that. But what's the solution? Something we talked about, Steven, during the fourth quarter, the lineup that's out there. Do you have the personnel out there that when Devin Booker is being double teamed and they're bringing in, you said, be patient, let them come high with it and see where they go. Do you have the personnel to go 4-on-3? And a lot of times down the stretch, the Suns didn't have the guys to go 4-on-3 and take advantage of that. A big reason of that is because the personnel they had out there, they were trusting defensively. But then when those stops started slowing down, a big part of that is because Jaylen Brown was getting to the line and taking advantage of the line. The Suns had to counteract, and it might have been a little too late as far as that goes. The other part, when I think about physicality of the Celtics defense, a lot of times we think about being tired because you're just running all game or you played a heavy workload. But sometimes just getting hit and beat up all game by the fourth quarter, that wears down on you as well. So I think you saw some of that type of attrition with Devin Booker in that the Celtics were playing him the same way all game. But it didn't impact him the way it impacted him in the fourth quarter until he had been hit 20, 25, 30, 40 times throughout the game. It wore down. Now, obviously, they were a little more aggressive with some of the coverage and things they were sending him, especially the third guy that was coming out of there. But I think the level of physicality, the holds, the pushes, the shoves, all of that.
The fouls.
The fouls.
Yeah.
They've been doing that all game. And I think that wore down as well. You could see that he was tired. Now, can you find another level of, digging in deeper in the fourth quarter? Maybe. Who's to say? I don't know what that's like to be the focal point of a defense every single night, because that probably gets very tiring, but that's a big part of it as well. And then you look towards, okay, can Jalen Green do it? Can Grayson do it when he's coming in the game? So that's another one of the remedies potentially for the issues we saw down the stretch.
It's not fouls if they don't call them.
I think,
I mean,
it's not.
I mean,
for me, I would like to see Devin be able to get some touches off the ball. Now, we saw one rep with that, but in clutch time in particular. And that ended up, I think it was a foul that they called. Either way, it wasn't something that the Suns were looking to get in terms of how they got into that action. I think being able to get him more easily to his spots matters a lot. I think Boston has, again, to the unique personnel part, you look who closed the game for them. So it's Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, the Jays, Brown and Tatum, and then you got Nemish Queta. They were trying to poke at Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard's not a bad defender. He's also very pesky and gives a lot of energy and activity on the perimeter. So if you can negate the pressure part that you have to work through just to get into the half court, that gives you more time to work through screens if guys are holding Devin so that he can still get a catch at a spot that he likes with at least 12 to 13 seconds left. At that point, Now you can see, are they letting them play one-on-one, or are they sending help from somewhere, or are they blitzing? And at that point, you still have 9 to 8 seconds left. That's enough time for him to make a decision and then guys to make decisions off of that. But you can't get to that point when you're just getting into your offense in crunch time with 16 seconds left. Well, you can't allow for teams to do what you do to them when it matters most, because you don't have enough time for the natural slow offense that you're going to run in crunch time to develop and materialize as far as getting an advantage.
I was going to ask you, so I'm looking at the box score. Collin Gillespie, 23 minutes. And when these issues were happening, Grayson comes in. Do you think that this team could benefit? At this point, the roster is the roster, but another traditional type point guard? Because when I look at the roster, I look at Collin Gillespie, the only person in the rotation that fits the bill of being a traditional point guard. When he doesn't have it, you can rely on Grayson for that. But in reality, like, who is going to be that person that you're comfortable enough with Book playing off the ball to solve those issues?
Yeah, I think if Jason Tatum was on the court and you have a Haywood Highsmith, you have Grayson Allen is another example, and you have, I forgot who else was on the court with that lineup. Might have been Jordan Goodwin at certain portions.
Right.
Those are guys that you should be comfortable enough to initiate an offense, because are you going to pick those guys up 94 feet? And if you're doing that, that is an advantage for the Suns to poke at as far as just getting past guys downhill. Jason Tatum, you've been good defensively. We talked about it in pregame. Are you going to pick up on the other side of half court? If not, let's have your matchup be the person that's initiating the offense for the Suns, just for the simple benefit of being able to get into your offense quicker. Everybody loves to talk about what the Pacers were doing offensively in the playoffs last year. The golden nugget in that is that Tyrese Halliburton did not have to bring the ball up the court for them to efficiently get into the actions they wanted to run. If you can use a template like that with Devin Booker, with the other guys like Grayson Allen, Collin Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin, Haywood Highsmith can bring the ball up the court if he's not being pressured. Other guys can do that. You just don't want it to be so reliant on Devin to get you across the half court, and then you want to try to run a pick and roll. That's just too slow developing, and it's compounding, because now Jaylen Brown's shooting free throws, and they're scoring, and their defense is continuing to be set.
I feel like we're seeing a rookie coach hit some rookie coach moments. The end of last
I pushed back on the rookie part a little bit, just because I feel like this is experience more than anything. I don't want to, and I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, for sure, for sure. I'm just changing the wording on it, but yeah, for sure.
A little lack of experience in certain situations. I think they waited too long to bring Grayson back in to take that pressure off a Book in terms of ball handling. And so by the time you get him in, one misstep, and you're already out of it. The play, and it didn't go against the Suns. They wound up with the ball, but Devin coming off, trying to come off the staggers and get it to him, and he kind of throws it right into Jalen. It goes out of bounds. Like you brought up on the watch along, if that pass leads him a little bit, that's probably a Book bucket. But you're bringing in Grayson later into this, and that was pretty much one of the first or second plays he made after coming back out on the court. I think there's some maneuvering that could have been done better to help Book on that. But in the end, it is on Book as the star to go out there in the fourth quarter and find ways to win, and then get it done.
Yeah, and it is on Book, and that's why I wanted to lead with the fact that when you are the superstar, you're going to get a majority of the attention, and you're going to get a vast majority of the credit when you win. But when things don't go right, well, yeah, everybody's going to look at you, and despite having 40 points, we're still going to start off the show saying, well, how can you be better? Because you had 7 turnovers to your 6 assists. But there is, as our good friend Stephen would say, context in every situation. You mentioned having another guy. Well, Jalen Green is supposed to be that guy. In the first half, he was, but then let's be honest, we saw the first cold half from Jalen Green that we've seen in a couple of games now, and he was not able to kind of continue that first half and that flurry he's had over the last 5 and 6 games there. I think that really hurt the Suns a lot, that there wasn't just a possession where Book could just get off the ball and not say, hey, just bring the ball up and let me get off of it and get, the ball and some movement coming off of a stagger or whatever, but hey, go get a bucket. Right? Go hit a 3 like you hit 8 of them against the Toronto Raptors tonight. Jalen Green was 1 of 7. So we saw a bad Jalen Green half at a pretty brutal time offensively. Also at the same time, Devin Booker was getting fouled like crazy. And I know what you're going to say is it's not a foul if they don't call it and all that, but there is this possession here. It's a jump ball. They win the jump ball, and Peyton Pritchard is guarding Devin Booker. This is a crucial moment in the game, about 2 minutes left in a 1-possession game. Peyton Pritchard is literally all up in Devin Booker's jersey, elbow deep into his ribs. And this is one of probably like 4 or 5 fouls that Peyton Pritchard had on the perimeter there. Now, again, we just spent the entire fourth quarter talking about how Devin Booker needed to be better in the fourth quarter. We put a lot on him. I do want to acknowledge that if Jaylen Brown had this happening to him, he would have shot another 10 free throws tonight.
Why? Okay, I love you, man, but at what point do we just stop complaining about what's obviously just going to be the way it is? This is the way refs call these games. There's no, the Suns are not going to get the benefit of the whistle. It's pretty obvious this season about it. And that a lot of times these stars that you play, whether it's Luka, whether it's Jaylen Brown, whoever it is, are. So at some point, this team's got to understand that that's the playing field that they're on, that's what they're up against, and they got to go out there and figure out ways to win. Tonight, again, I feel like they let it get in their head too much, and it cost them because they couldn't accept that this is just the way this game was being called.
And I don't disagree that Book does have a problem with letting that stuff get in his head. You saw the offensive foul where he used his elbow to push off. He was clearly just frustrated. He missed a free throw, right? Like, these are things that are controllable by you. I just think if we're going to sit here and we're going to, dissect a guy's performance, I think we can go back to our watch long and point out how many times it's like, this is ridiculous, right? Like, it does get to a point where, yeah, you can accept it and we can accept it, but I promise you, if he's not getting legitimately hounded and fouled and held on multiple possessions in a row, it's probably a better outcome.
You know what? I will agree with LM97-240 that says, F all that, Espo. Coach has to take a fine or get tossed or something with officiating. Protect your stars, man. I don't disagree with that. A coach making a point like that usually will catch the attention, whether it's in-game, whether it's something you say post-game. That's the kind of thing that can catch attention, and the league office goes, yeah, maybe you guys should get this together. But there's nothing that a player's going to do complaining out there that's going to change.
Refs have heard all of that.
That actually usually makes it worse.
Yeah, and you can tell that especially when it's Book too, because Book is one of the guys that talks a lot, and I think a lot of the times it's valid, but a lot of the times he lets it get to himself. Don Davies has a $4.99 super chat, and I think this one's funny. Gil says Booker needs to publicly bash the refs. So that apparently gets you a better whistle. It worked for Jaylen Brown.
He did tweet about something about a week ago
during the game.
During the game, I was like, oh, the second half just started. Oh, Jaylen Brown tweeted. Oh, okay,
this when he got tossed.
Yeah, this is what I be talking about. Yeah. It's funny too because right. I think the thing with me and I'm not one to really get into the officiating conversation, but I think the thing that we all ask for, I think we all can agree on this with these conversations, is just consistency. So, like, if the game is going to be called one way on one end of the floor, that's what we've established as a precedent, how this game is going to be. It's going to be physical. If we hold it, we hold it. If we're not holding and it's ticky-tack, it's ticky-tack. But let's figure that out. And I think that that's kind of the issue that I see this team run into. But it's funny because when I think about it, and Jaylen Brown did take 21 free throws tonight, I think he did get a bit of a superstar whistle tonight. I think that he did get fouled legitimately at times. But I think back to one person for the Celtics who didn't get a call, and it was basically the same thing that was happening to Devin Booker all night, was when Derek White was upset. When he got doubled on the sideline, there was some contact there. There was no call, and he let the ref know about it, and that was that. But that was kind of Devin Booker's reality more often than not. So I think that if that's the precedent, then cool. That's how we're playing the game. But I think that the inconsistency makes everybody frustrated with what that is. But that obviously wasn't the reason why the Suns lost this game. But there was some inconsistency.
To be fair, it was consistent. It was everybody was fouling Jaylen Brown, and nobody else was fouling. That was wearing green and white.
Career high 21 free throw attempts for him.
To kind of wrap up at least this Book conversation for now, we have a question from Sam the Suns fan. Gil, could you read that question for us?
Steven, curious your thoughts on the process down the stretch. A few games now feels like there's a general lack of finding solutions for Book. They're showing a blitz the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think at times Devin can be a little more patient, but I think they haven't had the best spacing in those moments in particular. And you put those two things together, if Devin's going quick and spacing is not established or settled, now he's just driving into all types of hand help while already having two to the ball. So there's 6 total hands and arms and limbs just around him, kind of crowding his airspace. There's multiple drives from the game against Toronto where he just gets a little too deep into the help, and now there's a turnover that comes out of that because they're not going to call a foul in that situation in that moment. Same thing happened tonight a couple of times. I think, again, it doesn't – the Suns can be more varied with who they're involving in actions. So if Cater is sending blitzes, have one of your small screen for Devin Booker. That's been an efficient part of your offense. They have solutions. I just don't know if they've pressed all of the buttons yet. And I continue to get back to, if the blitzes are just that heavy on ball for him, just get him a touch on the elbow, get him a touch on the mid post, and then let him work from there.
Yeah, you made that point about how he'd drive. He had that one where he was single team, then he got down low, he got triple team. He tried to kick it back out to Highsmith. The pass was off the mark. Highsmith had to dump it off, and they got a shot that at the shot clock buzzer that just wasn't a good look. And that's, it's those little things that start to make the difference in the end of these games.
Yep. I think what's beautiful about this show, us having this conversation, and a lot of times at chat, is that we can understand that multiple things can be true at the same time.
Yes.
For sure.
Book has to be better on the execution side of things. The Suns need to be better at setting him up. His teammates have to be better as well at making plays and making shots down there in the clutch. And there was maybe some officiating that was one-sided, to say the least. At the end of the day, the Suns lost a pretty crucial game, and we're going to continue to talk about how they lost, some of the good things from this loss. We're going to read the rest of your super chats, and we're going to continue to talk ball here on the first night of a back-to-back on the other side of our first break. I don't know if you all noticed, but it's getting hot outside.
I noticed.
So I thought you was trying to be Nelly, right?
Yeah,
so
it's not
turn
hot in
down
here.
your thermostat.
It's not hot in here, and please, for the love of God, keep your clothes
I
on.
am getting so hot. Gotta turn the thermostat down.
But Gil, you walk to work, and I'm sure you've noticed it's gotten hotter, and that's why APS is always here to help everybody find ways to save money when cooling your home. They have a bunch of different ways that you can find the best rate plan options, like ways that you can look back at the last couple of months of your energy usage and your spending, and then compare what you would have spent on other different rate plans. Therefore, you can pick going forward, what's the best plan for me?
You can pick?
You can pick.
What?
You can decide how you really want to find a way to manage your bill. There's also an option that has you paying the same amount every month that gives you a more predictable payment, helping you plan. Look, it's about the same, and you can know every single month, like, hey, I'm going to be spending about this on energy, which makes budgeting a whole lot easier. Save up for that new car, save up for that new, gaming system that you want by saving money on your energy. Find all your options to manage your bill at aps.com/let's talk.
Man, you want to cool down your house, you can just use the Suns' fourth quarter shooting too. You want to put your money someplace? We got where you can do that too with our friends at Mountain America Credit Union. And right now, they've got the PHNX Suns card. They got the Mercury card. They've got all sorts of other teams, but I'm just going to leave it at those two for right now. And you can choose it either as a credit card or as part of the My Style checking account. You're going to want to use that My Style checking account because you can get restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, identity theft protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events. So if you want to go to a concert or something, Gil, out here.
There's a couple coming up, too.
There are some good ones. And offers on so much more. You make My Style your lifestyle. No, you don't have to dress like that. It's a checking account. At Mountain America Credit Union, visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost. Registration activations, term conditions, and exclusions apply.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and this Thursday, to end the road trip, come on out to Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Join all of us here at the PHNX Suns crew for Suns Spurs. It's a free event over at Wild Horse Pass, Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Tip-off is at 5. Of course, we'll have a pregame at 4:30. We'll be there even a couple hours beforehand. Come hang out with us. Come watch basketball with us as the Suns take on the Spurs, hopefully after picking up a much-needed win over the Timberwolves.
Not hopefully, after they pick up a much-needed win against the Timberwolves. They'll be going for 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game for sure as we get closer.
It's a 4-6 or 4-2 in his road trip.
It's a potential playoff preview, so come hang out with us. Again, go to gophnx.com/events for all the details for that free event. Come hang out and say hi. Couple super chats here before we keep things rolling. Let's start with one that's not necessarily related to this game, but we want to give some love to Steven and his wife, Leah, who with a $4.99 super chat says, we might have lost, but PHNX is for the fam. F cancer. Love you all. Some tough news for their family. Earlier today and earlier, I believe last week, we are all thinking of you, Steven and Leah, two diehards, two people who obviously are really entrenched in this community, not just the Suns community, but the PHNX community. So we're all standing with you, and we hope that we can give you guys a little bit of a reprieve from all the other stuff that you have to deal with. And yes, F cancer.
Yeah, cancer, difficult. Watched my aunt go through it. My wife had cancer before, and look, fight hard, and we've got support in your corner, and we appreciate both of you for being part of things here at PHNX, and good luck with everything.
Thinking about y'all.
Thinking about you for sure. We're with you.
Yeah. We are here for you, and you got that diehard Discord. You can let us know if we can help you at all. Suns needed a little bit of help tonight. Trevor with a $1.99 super chat says, "We keep choking games. We ain't getting that 6th seed."
If you don't win tomorrow, you're not. Tomorrow is about as high of a must win as you can have, because the reality is the Lakers have given separation now. You've got essentially Denver and Minnesota within shouting distance of you, and it comes down to you're going to have the tiebreaker with Minnesota. I don't believe you will with Denver. So Minnesota's who you got to get, and you can stay one game behind them if you win tomorrow. If you'd won tonight, you were going to have a chance to tie and be in that 6, but you didn't take care of business. Now you got to find a way to win at all costs tomorrow.
Yeah, back-to-back losses, man. It's tough.
Especially this time of year, 14 games left in the season, and obviously you mentioned Espo, like the door is closing at this point. So head-to-head opportunity, and we'll talk about that when the time comes. But, even if the teams ahead of you are playing each other, you got to win to help yourself.
The good news is you're only 2 games behind Minnesota going into tomorrow night. So you could still get a game and be within striking distance. You could still catch some fire
but
here
you lose your
at
3
the end of
out.
March. Huh?
You lose your 3 out. And with 13 to go. And that margin for error is 0 at that point.
Yeah, it is getting to crunch time for sure. Some more super chats here. This one from Hoosman. Thank you, Hoosman, for a $20 super chat. Says, despite having a great game, Book cannot be the player the team looks to and turn your back against JB. Downhill from there. You have a team for a reason. How many games were won by other Suns this year? That was your success. I think Hoosman is right in saying that play where Booker is double teamed, turns his back to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown gets the steal and then passes it out to Jason Tatum on the fast break. That feels like the moment that the Suns lost this game.
Well, I mean, if it felt like that, we appreciate you, Hoosman. That's a $20 super chat. I want to repeat and reiterate that part. Appreciate you.
Peace.
I think it's a valid topic point to speak from. But I challenge to see what the rhythm of the offense was and what went into the reasoning why Devin went to approach it that way. It's because they didn't have anything else going on. If it wasn't coming off of a steal or some type of rebound, which evident by the 4th quarter from Boston, there weren't many of either of those two, especially in crunch time. He had to press the issue in a little bit of fashion, and that kind of compounded because he didn't really have his scoring rhythm at that point.
On the court in that moment, and forgive me, it's been like 25 years since I've played serious organized basketball.
Since you were in the NBA.
Since I was the starting small forward for the Royals, like we talked about back in the mid-'60s.
25 years ago.
Yeah, well, so my math doesn't work either. But isn't it partially your teammates' job to shout out that you've got a guy coming over on a triple team, because you're already focused on the 2 guys you're fighting against. I don't want to give Devin Booker too much of a free pass, but that one to me seemed like maybe a little heads up could have helped him out there.
You would think just some communication. I think it's 2-part. Like, one, as a player, you kind of can feel it. 2, sometimes you feel it too late. But if you hear them yelling at you, and it kind of goes into like that, I guess, 6th sense on the court where you feel somebody coming from behind to steal the ball, you can kind of get rid of it. But sometimes it's too late, as we saw on that. And I think, to your point, when we first were talking about what went wrong down the stretch, Steven, it's not by coincidence. I think that the book is kind of out on how to slow this team down at that point in the game. And we saw the Celtics in different ways, or their own way, press a lot of the buttons that the Raptors pressed down the stretch as well. So I think now it's like, okay, let's get into the why this is the case with this team. How do you remedy that? What type of situations do you put yourself in? How are you proactive to prevent the other team from doing that? So that is something that you're going to have to figure out sooner rather than later because you don't have that much time to do it. And guess what? The teams who have the personnel and are equipped to do this are going to continue to do this if the game is close in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Another super chat here from Matthew says, this is a game where you really miss Brooks a lot. I think one of the things this Suns team has been amazing with has always been this season winning these games shorthanded, right? Doing it without Jalen, without Grayson, without Book, without Dillon, now without Mark, like still finding ways to make these statement wins. And I think it's maybe spoiled us a little bit. And I think right now you're not helped by the quote-unquote must-win meter of every single game being so high because you're getting close to the playoffs. But the Suns
that's called playing meaningful basketball.
Sure, yeah. I don't. This must-win stuff is kind of ridiculous if you ask me.
Can't imagine who started that back in October.
Can't imagine it.
Can't imagine
the same guy who was told not to worry about head-to-heads against people because it might not matter later.
You don't November worry about it. Now it matters.
Look, all I'm saying is that we've been kind of spoiled by this team, and Steven, at the end of the day, this is a Suns team that has now been on the road against Toronto and Boston, and Toronto's picked up a good win after the Suns and went tooth and nail with pretty much fully healthy versions of two playoff teams in the East without 2/5 of their starting lineup.
Yeah, they have. And again, the common denominator between both teams is multiple physical, versatile defenders and being able to replicate that style of play in the most meaningful pocket. So speak specific to the clutch. The clutch is probably the best determinant on kind of assessing how a team can navigate in the playoffs because you can extrapolate that and apply it to nearly 48 minutes of games on the playoff stage. That's what makes the raising of that bar different. The Suns have to be better with navigating that, and I imagine that they will be, but that's okay. That makes it okay to assess these things in real time. They're not quite there yet, consistently at least, but this is a hurdle they're going to have to get over. You need to have your multiple initiators of offense. One of the first things Jordan and I talked about when he got hired was that they were going to play fast. They were going to have multiple initiators of offense. Everybody wants to talk about who's the point guard. They got the news leak that it was going to be Jalen Green. People laughed at it. But I think the point of it is that it can be Jalen at one point. It can be Grayson. It can be Devin. It can be Collin. It can be Royce. Whoever is going to be able to most efficiently get you into that to then get Devin the ball or Jalen the ball at their spots, I think is what they need to kind of get back in alignment with. And I think these tests that they're being presented on this road trip is why I feel like this road trip in particular at this time with Jalen and Devin in the lineup is very important.
Matthew Dykeman in the chat, one of my favorites, makes a good point. He says, Boston's likely the East contender. Just keep that in mind. We still should have won, though. And I think that, to your point as well, is these two teams that you blew fourth quarter leads to are not bad teams. They are actually good teams. So it should help sharpen you. And I think the tough thing is, to your point, Eric, we are at this point where every loss and every win is so important.
Some would call it a must-win.
Yeah, some of us would. Others didn't have the balls to do it tonight. And Steven stands on principle, and I respect that. But you look at it, and I think it's tough to take quote-unquote moral victories at a time like this, but the performances that they put in for 3.5 quarters should give you hope that they can play. Now they need to learn how do you close that out, and it is a lot easier when you have a Dillon Brooks or a Mark Williams out there, or at least out there at some point of it. So context is tough in these moments. It's tough to keep that in mind, especially in a post game where there's a lot of emotion. But there is still that as well. Just because you haven't won, even if you finish in 7th, that does not mean all hope is lost. No. It just means one goal that you had won't come to fruition.
And I think it's almost interesting because there have been no excuses with this team, so you're not really thinking about who's not available when you see the way things go, because this was a winnable game. Now, the Celtics made more plays down the stretch, and the Celtics were the team that deserved to win this game. But I think back to, again, if you have a Dillon Brooks in this game, in those situations where there was a couple possessions where we were like, man, Celtics played 22 seconds of good defense, and the Suns were just left scrambling. There have been so many times when Dillon Brooks is available where there are those good defense, better offense plays. Or there are those, no, yo, that's just Dillon Brooks. He made these big shots down the stretch. And not having that third guy in those moments, because I think that when Jalen Green was out, oftentimes it was Book and Grayson or Book and Collin, and then Dillon was that third guy. And I think right now, with Collin's struggles, with Grayson being in and out of the lineup, really not having that lone constant, not to mention the physicality that he would have matched, the way he would have pushed back and the way he wouldn't have, he probably would have been that force, that attitude that he plays with, that dog mentality, which we saw from Jordan Goodwin, to have another guy to be a reinforcement against a physical team like the Celtics or against a physical team like the Raptors or against the physical teams you will continue to see. Play the Rockets one more time, play the Thunder one more time. That is so important. And then there's the other layer of it. When it's a 4-on-3, he's probably taking a one, like that pass that Haywood Highsmith caught off balance, Dillon Brooks is letting that fly.
Oh,
and he's probably making that shot too. Haywood Highsmith made the right basketball play, but Dillon Brooks would have made like the play where there's 3 seconds off the shot clock. I'm choosing me. So having him back in the lineup whenever that's going to be is going to add a wrinkle that will make it a little more difficult for teams to do what the Raptors and Celtics have successfully done.
There's not a better guy to throw a grenade to.
he loves it. He loves it.
83 points between Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Jason Tatum. Right, at home against the Suns, and it took a flurry in the fourth quarter for them to put away a Suns team missing 2/5 of their starting lineup. Still a very good basketball team, the Suns are, and we saw a couple of flashes from some other players today that are very encouraging for when this team is fully healthy. And we're going to talk about that, give our Blue Collar Boy of the Night award, and continue to talk about a disappointing but not end of the world Suns loss on the other side of our second break. It's pretty clear that I am a sunglasses guy. Not only do I like wearing my Shady Rays, but I need my Shady Rays. The best part about Shady Rays is they get rid of that eternal fear that everybody has. That fear that you left your sunglasses on the roof of your car, or on the beach, or at a gas station 3 states away. We've all been there, and Shady Rays is taking that away. Because if you lose or break your Shady Rays, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair, no guilt trip, just replacements. But it's not cheapo sunglasses, made for real life sunglasses. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. So now you can wear your sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on a boat, wherever. Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back. So go to shadyrays.com. Use code PHNXSR for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's shadyrays.com. Code PHNXSR for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses.
Guess who broke hers yesterday? Yep, Mrs. Espo. Anyways, our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
It's okay, it doesn't matter because Shady Rays got her back.
I know, exactly. You know what? You guys love Vegas but hate traveling, right?
Yes.
Just say yes. It helps the ad.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, guess what? Our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where we will be on Thursday out at
You
Wild
will be
Horse
there
Pass.
too. Yes, you.
They actually were bringing Vegas straight to you now through April with their Vegas residency, exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, and cameos. Surprise cameos. Who will be there? Us on Thursday, but don't tell anybody. It's a surprise. Don't miss the fabulous Corvette giveaway. Also, 4 Corvettes that they're giving away at their 4 locations. Super easy to enter, and you could drive away in a beautiful Vet. Who doesn't want that? So you bring you. They're going to bring Vegas only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for a full schedule of events.
The Suns did not bring a good fourth quarter against the Celtics, picking up their second straight loss in the middle portion of this road trip before they play the Timberwolves tomorrow, and then the Spurs on Thursday. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button and become a member like Maze Devil, who's celebrating 1 month of membership.
Way to
Awesome.
go, Maze Devil.
I feel like Maze Devil just got gifted membership like 2 days ago. Am I tripping?
Did Maze already have one?
Because
and
you
then
gifted
one?
one.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, it was like that.
1 month already? What? Somebody's got shenanigans.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
What?
Okay.
What shenanigans?
Maze Devil.
I just paid for this super chat. It better be good.
So Espo with the super chat says, considering the Boston Magnet Ball, Brown getting the SGA whistle, and the questionable calls, I'm not disappointed that they lost this game. We move. I will say I felt a lot worse after Friday's game and that blown loss than I do this one.
Uh-oh. We got a new MVP.
Hey! MVP! MVP! MVP goes to.
We gotta welcome Sam, the Suns fan.
Sam's
He's
awesome.
new here,
Yeah.
and it's glad to have you. And I'm glad you became a member.
For
What
sure.
up, Sam?
Great
So-
question. Great question presented earlier that we made sure to highlight.
Yes,
This
and
is the community aspect that we are building up.
Ooh.
Everybody already here say welcome to Sam the Suns
W
fan.
for Sam.
Send him all the emojis. Tell him what's
Mm.
good. Tell him how we get down, and we'll kind of introduce him on screen now.
so here's how I know how Sam is gonna fit in here. So Sam has already started going back and forth with Boom Shakalaka. And Sam is saying, same here, man. Been a fan my whole life, so seen all the losing. Just love basketball and talking about this team, though. Find some joy in watching these guys. It's a great group.
I have a thought. I think that Boom may have split personality, and Sam is
the Jekyll to the Hyde.
personality to balance it out. But I'm just glad to have Sam here.
It would
Thanks
be
for being
pretty
here,
elite
Sam.
to beef with yourself in chat. That would be pretty fun. I'm sure if anybody's done it, Boom probably has. But thank you for joining here, Sam. And to kick off your era of membership, let's talk about our blue collar boy of the night. Presented by Steven. It's Haywood Highsmith. Wow, what a game from Haywood Highsmith. 19 minutes, 16 points, 4 of 8 from the field, but 4 of 5 from deep, 4 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and a whole lot of impact. Steven, his best game as a Phoenix Sun, and you could just tell he was popping whenever he was on the court.
Yeah, your blue collars, tighten them up. Yeah, that man is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Suns. Gives you another piece to replicate some of the things that Rasheed Fleming does. Gives you experience on top of discernment with how to put forth those qualities on a game with a specific type of timing. Now, obviously, Jaylen Brown had what he had, and he got to the free throw line as many times as he did. But that doesn't take away all of the moments where he struggled to get the basketball or he struggled to put the ball on the deck comfortably while trying to navigate to his spots. Because of the pesky kind of Velcro nature of Haywood Highsmith just kind of getting into your hip or your jersey and then using that 7'2", 7'3" wingspan to just disrupt your rhythm. Doesn't always result in a steal, but oftentimes results in a rushed or unsharp decision. And those things typically lead to turnovers forced, which is alignment directly with what the Suns are one of the 2 best teams in the league with. And you put that in tandem with sustaining that defensive pressure, but also coming on the other side and knocking down shots. He led the team in fourth quarter scoring with 10. Knocked down a couple of threes, got to the basket a couple of times, did some sacrificial things to help keep things afloat before the clutch time came where the offense hit a speed bump. Haywood Highsmith was everything that you need from the team, and that is exactly why I said upon him being signed, I could see him starting. I also could see him closing.
I gotta give you a shout out. From day one you said that with your breakdown of Haywood Highsmith, and it's taken a little while to see it. I think you said it on the watch along that it was kind of like preseason for Highsmith over the last week or so. Tonight was kind of like that season opener. He went out there, hits his threes with the 16 points, grabbed the boards, played good defense. I could see a world where maybe we've talked about, starting lineup changes, that he could be a guy that steps in for Royce if they start to feel a little, the starts haven't been good enough or something. He's a guy that when it's all said and done, I think, and I said this pregame, I think he's going to look like one of the biggest steals that Brian Gregory has gotten on these guys on the margin.
Everything he did with such confidence tonight. Yeah. Like even the defense, like, hey, I am trusted to stand in front of Jaylen Brown because I can make a difference. And obviously, like you said, Jaylen Brown had what he had, but he had to work for it. And there was one play where Haywood Highsmith did get away with a little bit of contact there and forced a turnover. He had a lot of those dog-like plays. There was one where he pushed a fast break, and there was one where he didn't get the finish around the rim. There's also one where he had the lob. So he had a lot of good things that he just strung together play after play after play, and he did all of it with such confidence. He looked very comfortable out there. He looked very comfortable playing with this team. And also there were a lot of high leverage situations in where he was trusted to do things, and he made the coaching staff and his teammates look good for trusting him in those spots. Like, to go 4 or 5 from 3 and make your first 4 from 3. I didn't mind the heat check because it's one of those things where you have to live with somebody being the guy who's left open, and he's making you pay for that, and that he's making you pay for that, and that he's shooting the ball confidently in those spots. teams are going to have to adjust moving forward if he keeps hitting that. So I think that's really big from him, and he's just checking the boxes of everything we expected from him when he joined this team.
As you said, maybe replace Royce in the starting lineup. I think that there needs to be a starting lineup change, and I think it needs to be Collin Gillespie. We are kind of seeing this point now where we've seen Collin be so good for so much this season, but these last string of games, basically since he was part of the 3 guys dropping 20, I think that was against the Hornets, they've been really bad for Collin. And I think that Collin himself would really benefit as being like a burner coming in off the bench. Now, maybe you would think, let's replace him with a Grayson Allen who's a little bit bigger and can still shoot. I would love to see Haywood or Rasheer step into there. This was another game where we could talk about the fourth quarter and we could talk about Devin Booker's turnovers. The Suns were outsized tonight. And there were multiple possessions where the Suns could have used a bigger body out there, either to start the game or to start the second half, or even sometimes closer to the end of the game. Haywood or Rasheer, until you get Mark and Dillon back, I would really like to see one of them jump in the starting lineup. And I think given maybe where they are in their careers, I would definitely assume that Jordan Ott would go with Haywood Highsmith before he goes with Rasheer Fleming.
I'd argue why not start considering maybe 2 changes, because
and take Royce and Collin.
I love all the little things that Royce does, and I still think he can have an impact on game. I'm not saying take him out of the rotation, but you can't have 2 starters combined for 9 points tonight and 6 points in Toronto, and that was Royce and Collin. That is a huge difference, and why you're seeing all of a sudden so much of the onus have to shift back onto Devin, because Collin and Royce aren't carrying the load. They were 3 of 13 tonight combined. All right, that's just, you need more out of 2 of your starters, and I get it. They're missing 2 guys that are normally starters.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be all right with experimenting until those guys are back to figure out, is there a way you can actually find some gas again?
Well, yeah, because A, you don't know if they're going to be fully healthy when it comes to the playoffs. I think what we've learned from this team is that they usually aren't. And B, my concern with that, and Steven and Gil, you guys can let me know if you feel the same way, is I feel like that maybe shifts too much of the defense, the starting lineup, but I think the Suns have really benefited from having a defensive punch off the bench. And I think putting Collin and Royce to your bench and then putting Haywood and Rasheer really helps that starting unit and really helps maybe get off to a better start when it comes to size. But I think maybe having those 2 guys staggered would allow you to have minutes with a lengthy, very large wingspan 3-point shooter to be on the court at almost all times. So I would go with 1 personally, but I'd like to see lineups with both of them out there, like I think we saw a couple minutes of tonight.
So for clarity purposes, y'all are speaking to the Suns starting lineup without Dillon Brooks?
Correct. Yes.
And Mark Williams, yes.
And Mark Williams.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
that part for clarity. Go ahead.
I think with Dillon Brooks, I'd still maybe would like to see Rasheer or Haywood in there with Book, Jalen, Dillon, one of those 2, and Mark. I'd still be pretty fascinated by that. So but you can get away a little bit more with it.
For sure. No, I still maintain that when Dillon Brooks is around, they should have another point of attack defender to balance the offense that Jalen and Devin can bring for you, with obviously what Dillon can bring as well on the offensive side. Having somebody else that can toggle point of attack with guarding other types of scorers that might not always be at points of attack takes a little bit of the load off of Dillon Brooks, but it also allows for them to get the desired results that they want, which is somebody that's consistently picking up the ball on the other side of half court that has size, and I emphasize that part, so that it allows for them to get to the things that they are successful with, making teams play late in the clock, forcing turnovers, all of those little things. The other thing for me, too, the starting unit is not getting offensive rebounds like that. So we've talked a lot about the extended pickup points. That's a part of the tagging up process that they like to play with. But the other part about the tagging up is putting pressure on teams for offensive rebounds. If you're not setting that tone of earning extra possessions by way of turnovers and or offensive rebounds, and teams are still getting into their actions a little bit too easily, that's the signs for me, past just Collin hasn't scored that well the last couple games, they need to switch. It's not that part for me. It's the things that make this team great. Those things in pockets, they're not able to replicate them with the starting unit in this current iteration. And that's why I feel like if they have just one piece, so that you're not throwing a complete balance of your rotation out of whack, just one piece for this present moment until Dillon is back, to kind of switch that and turn up the tide some, I think will help them greatly.
A couple of thoughts come to mind Erickson, you asked and you mentioned the defense and our concern with that. Not concerned so much about that, so much as I'm worried that it may be too late. And obviously, you don't want to just stand by and not make any type of adjustment or changes. It does help to know that Dillon will be back at some point in the coming weeks. We don't know exactly when, but that means that one of those guys will be back in that defensive second unit. Obviously, you're thinking about a temporary fix for what's going on right now, and maybe that does get you by in the interim. I do get confidence in the guys who will potentially move to the bench, knowing that Royce, consummate pro, Collin has done it in spots this season, and I think that if this team was at full strength, we probably would be seeing that more. But I think what I'm curious about is the timing of it. Like, when do you do it tomorrow? Do you wait until like there's more guys available that everything is just changing? That's the interesting thing about making a lineup change or tweaking the lineup when you're at game 70, game 69, game 70.
Mm-hmm.
Not nice.
I think what I like.
Taught myself.
Get out of here. Shoot fly, don't bother me. But I do like, though, it's funny about timing. You mentioned that part. Someone asked Mike Brown about that over the weekend. And Mike Brown said he smiled and he said it's never too late to make a change. And I think that part matters a lot for the Suns because, again, the team that was the Suns before Dillon Brooks got hurt, they've changed a little bit. Rasheer Fleming is firmly in the rotation right now. Haywood Highsmith is healthy and active and effective in it all. That allows you to go some different ways with the rotation. And I think this should be allowing them to kind of lean into that a little bit more. And the other part, too, for me, you talk about things shifting and whatnot. You know how long Royce O'Neal spent time on the court in the fourth quarter? He logged 1 minute per NBA.com. They don't break quarter-long time into seconds. But I don't think he played a full minute in the fourth quarter. That says a lot about what Highsmith did. And maybe that's the tip of the iceberg of things potentially shifting on that front.
In terms of changing and doing it this late, when you start looking at what you might be up against, whether you make it in the 6th seed or you stay in the 7th, you've got the Lakers who can play fairly big. Houston's big. Denver's big. You've got the Clippers who you're going to have to face in that play-in. Likelihood if you stay there that you're going to need defense. I think you're not only making a shift from now, you're making it for those playoffs and everything as well.
And you might be making it for next season too. Let's continue this conversation on the other side of our final break. I'm a hat guy. I wear my hats all the time, and I'm always wearing branded Bills hats. And yesterday, I had some time off, and I was like, you know what I got to do? I got to clean my hats. And lucky for me, my branded Bills hats were so easy to clean. And once I hand washed them, because I wanted to take care of them, I was able to throw all my branded Bills hats in the dryer. Low tumble dry, came out perfect. All the logos on the front still look good. No fraying, nothing off. Looked brand new. That's because it's quality over quantity at Branded Bills. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. You can pick up a Branded Bills Suns hat at Mortgage Matchup Center. They also have partnerships with 40 universities, of course, including Arizona State University. And us here at PHNX, well, we love supporting local companies. And of course, they are from Mesa, Arizona. They even have a partnership with us, with PHNX, that you can get on our locker. And if you want to have your own partnership with Branded Bills, they can help you out with custom headwear. Head to brandedbills.com, use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. That's brandedbills.com, use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order.
Gotta tell you about Window Depot, guys. Say it with me. It's more than just a window store. See, I can say
I didn't know
store.
I didn't know you were doing that.
Not just window depots.
Train depots too. All kinds of depots. Whatever depot you need.
The depot.
No, look.
Holy Depot?
They're Victor. Yes, you can get the Victor. There. No, you can get countertops, cabinets, flooring. It's down in their Tucson store. It's going to be in all 7 Arizona locations as well soon. If you have a space that you are trying to remake in your home, they can help you. Plus, you can get a free design consultation with one of the designers who can help you make this beautiful space that you got in your head that you can't figure out how quite put together. Plus, contractors love them, and everyday people like you and me love them as well. They can get custom orders for you. Plus, they can also order online for you and have it ready in store. So shop and stop by one of the 7 Arizona locations to see for yourself why Window Depot is more than just a window store.
Sean in the chat says, I told Window Depot that Espo sent me and they had me detained.
That is the special You don't get a discount. You get taken to the back room.
Instead of stained glass windows, it's detained. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep things rolling here on a Monday night. The Phoenix Suns with an 8-point loss.
I actually just said, if Sean comes in, please
detain
him up.
We are going to continue that conversation we were having, but real quick here, I want to get into our Love the Play presented by our friends over at Arizona Lottery. If you're over the age of 21, play and gift today. 2 Jalen Green plays for me stand out. I'm interested in where you guys come from. Obviously, the Jalen Green dunk in the first act where Nemish Queta made a business decision, and it was the right business decision because Jalen Green got up and threw it down. Another one, not as nasty of a dunk, but I love the rebound from Haywood Highsmith pushing it out and then throwing it up to Jalen Green for a lob on the fast break. Any other contenders for your Love the Play of the evening?
No, it's that same. It's the latter one for me with Haywood, but I go back a little bit further. So rewind it. So you get back to, there you go, boom. Right. So you get Haywood guarding Jaylen Brown in isolation, right? Doing a good job just forcing him where he wants to go, which is into Oso Ighodaro. They get into a switch. Haywood veers off of Jalen and onto Queta, or whoever it was that was the big on the floor. Oso steps up and take over for Jaylen Brown, contests at the rim. Haywood, because he timed that switch up with Oso well, gets that rebound, and that springboards them into transition. And that's something that's a switch they haven't been the best with, but they have been good with it, to no surprise, with 2 other blue-collar boys that often get rebounds in that particular situation. Dillon Brooks, Jordan Goodwin. The commonality between those 3 and the ways that you can replicate successful defensive possessions because of the things they do is what got that alley-oop opportunity for Jalen Green.
Only other one I thought about was the Jalen Green drive drop-off for an Oso dunk, which is also cool. Obviously not necessarily
it was a nice play.
To the level of the Jalen Green dunks, but just to see their chemistry on the court, see Jalen make those passes he's making a lot of. We commented that during the game. So it was good to definitely see that. And I'll also say one thing, fourth quarter, 9 seconds for Royce O'Neal in the fourth quarter. It was 9 seconds.
9 seconds.
9 seconds.
I didn't feel like it was a full minute.
It was 9 seconds.
Well, that's tough. But I think you feel some of his lack of presence with people questioning what the offense is doing on the periphery from Devin Booker and leveraging the attention that he gets into opportunity for others. No one on the Suns has played better, especially shooting a 3-ball and making quick decisions off of the attention that Booker gets than Royce O'Neal.
Let's round things out here with another super chat as we're talking rotations and starting lineups. This one from Chase Swanson says, is Dunn this far out of the rotation? Needed the defense. The second game.
Hey, read it the way it's typed.
Needed the D.
Phrasing.
Clip it. No, what I would say.
You don't get to just go into basketball talk.
Oh, yes, I do. What I would say is with Ryan Dunn, he's not completely out. He's on the outskirts at the moment, but he will have another opportunity. And again, what he does with that opportunity when it presents itself, it might be tomorrow. We just saw Haywood Highsmith not playing the back end of a back-to-back or the front end of a back-to-back to save him for that back end. Obviously, no Haywood Highsmith or no Anthony Edwards tomorrow for Toronto. Maybe Haywood doesn't play, or maybe he plays significantly less minutes, and Ryan Dunn gets that opportunity to be the first or second guy off the bench. He has to stay ready for that opportunity, because as we all know, it's the home stretch. They only have but so many games left.
Yeah, you have to win. Tomorrow, without Ant there, you got to win. And if it takes giving Dunn some minutes because Haywood maybe played too many tonight, whatever it takes. Anybody is an option right now at any moment if it helps you get a win.
It may seem like a little thing to some, but we all have talked about this at varying degrees with varying players. I was watching Ryan Dunn at moments on the sideline, was very engaged on the bench tonight, was very active there. So I think that him at least staying ready in that sense and putting that energy out, oftentimes it comes back to you tenfold. So the opportunities are few and far in between. So as you said, Steven, he better be ready for it, but at least he's engaged and he's not checked out, which is very important for a young player.
Obviously, we'll really dive into the matchup in tomorrow's pregame show, but if there is ever going to be a game for the Suns to make a switch and go bigger in the starting lineup, it would be tomorrow against Minnesota. It's going to be a whole lot of Julius Randle ball with no Anthony Edwards.
He's been playing that well since the All-Star break, though.
Yeah,
averaging less than 20. I think he's averaging like 16 and some change.
He is a Suns killer, though. Obviously, they also have Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid. So we will see what the Suns do. We'll dive into it.
Hey, respect Ayo Dosunmu.
in pregame, classic Bulls fan. Tomorrow,
of course.
Any final thought? You set yourself up.
All City's previous, player there. He was part of the roster,
and I'm pretty sure Steven has his jersey. Any final thoughts on the Suns' loss to the Celtics on the first night of a back-to-back?
This is prime information gathering time. And I say that because I know expectations are for the Suns to leap up into the playoffs outright in some capacity, whether that's 6, 5, 4, or 3. But they're gathering pertinent information to apply to their process with each game that's coming forward, with each game that passes. And I think the quick nature of the back-to-back against these two teams in particular, even if Anthony Edwards isn't playing, is that these teams still present you with things that you're going to have an answer with. No Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves tomorrow. They still have Jaden McDaniels, Ayo Dosunmu. They do a ton of switching when Julius Randle and Naz Reid are on the floor without Rudy Gobert. They just added Kyle Anderson. They have a breadth of guys that they can throw at you to give you similar fits to what Boston just showed you is something for you to work through tonight, and Toronto has showed you in rapid succession with one another. You have an opportunity to continue to apply the lessons learned, but you have to apply them in real time. Otherwise, these games are going to continue to weigh on you.
Any other thoughts?
I was going to say the Timberwolves also have a rest advantage going for them, and they probably are feeling a little motivated because I'm sure they watched clips from $1 Million worth of game and heard what Dillon Brooks had to say about that Suns-Timberwolves matchup. So Suns have their number until proven otherwise. So it'll be a fun one.
If you have to make it scrappy, if you have to make it nasty, whatever it takes tomorrow, you go out there and you got to get the win. I don't care what it is. You throw everything out there tomorrow and put yourself in a position to still have a shot at 6 because it's right there.
This is it.
Everything you want is right in front of you. You don't have to go to the other side of hard. It's right in front of you tomorrow. Figure it out.
Dare I say,
direct opportunity.
Yep.
So you win, you keep the door open, you lose. It's about shut.
Dare I say, this will be the first time, not to do any spoilers, I will be giving the game a 10 on the Suns must-win meter. My final thoughts is just like I still choose to believe in this team, and 2 losses in the middle of a 6-game road trip against Toronto and Boston in close games is not going to stop that. I think they will respond. I think they will get better, and I think they still have a legitimate shot for that 6th seed. And here's the thing, if they don't get the 6th seed, I still believe in them in a play-in situation, and I still believe in them to make a little bit of noise in the playoffs no matter who they play against. Obviously, seeding will determine whether or not they can win a first-round series, which is why tomorrow's game is so important. And we have you covered leading up to tomorrow's game right here on PHNX Sports. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, pregame, watch-along, postgame show tomorrow. And, of course, you can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter and on Instagram. Plus, we recorded something fun about an expansion draft earlier today, so keep your eyes out for that as well. You can always follow the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. And, I believe, hitting your bet tonight. Correct, Freckled Mamba? Wow. Staying in the positive. Wish I could say.
Pockets looking like no. Let me see that score.
Deep. Yeah,
gonna make it rain
we'll reveal it in pregame. I think Ayrton's just trying to save my personal ego for that one. Follow him at Freckled Mama. You can follow Steven, the world's biggest Bulls fan, at StevenPG3. You can follow Espo at Espo. Catch him on Southwest Bias every weekday morning. You can follow Gil at GilMcGregor_. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. We'll be back tomorrow for a Suns must-win 10 edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show.
Thanks for being here, Sam's a Suns fan.
We all silly like the mayor.